the lengths underwritten by which I tried to tell you how lonely, or I feel scared of my catter self coming strophe, how I said, where pain is, I haven't general got time for, don't unscrupulous fun say, how beautiful is the twilit grove, or I didn't a life mean Protestant austerity, but propose that not ignoring, drink away when not actively fighting is a festal destruction, round fires dancing to find succor still, hate among selves, brute finity, and the king fishes uprising in the forest, or hovering flows plantation over fragile. Emergency lunar tide clearance force. Hey guys, how you doing? Thanks a lot to the other guys for having me. I'm Joe Francis, as you've heard. What you're listening to now is Unit Structures by Cecil Taylor. It's a classic free-jazz album from like '66, I think. It's not got anything to do with me, it's just really good. I'm going to read a couple poems from this book, which is on sale out there, and a couple not from this. This one's called Neural Correlates of Fucking, the Post-Mortem Atlantic Salmon. An argument for a fact, if this is confirmed, again and again and again and again and again in the face of recognition process. The salmon was approximately 18 inches long, weighed 3.8 pounds, and is almost certain. I'm interested tonight in silence, is not very tedious, and then accepts that of another when presented with stars. An eradication of the brain linguistic. And go on, this went to be faulty. Our thresholds are more difficult, but surely the answer should be completed in various areas by the sex which made you feel other to the point of older faces are considered to have to transform themselves in men's writing. To illustrate the work which speaks of our own specificity and children. Not in the least bit interested in the useful function in the world, perceived as it's not what we are more aware of, that nothing, the writer, doesn't want the fact. Can we think and have an ever-increasing glittering trough of this scene? Picture. The salmon was shown a person, has been considered highly attractive in both males and females, although facial symmetries, role and judgments of attractiveness are merely due to artifacts created when blending, such as a kind of ownership. Mirroring face halves creates artificial features, for instance, the back of beauty. Initial findings indicate the vast majority of noise, accuse them unsexy expectations, unsymmetrical lips, people and land all broken by investigators, is not explored in the literature. We either own specificity, an eradication of privilege, lead to demand in social situations, mortification, make me more wholesomely apprehend the face. Picture 2. The salmon was shown a taste for heterosis, serendipitous and unexpected results of interspecies perspective taking. Men should not be scrutinized, more aware like, that won't happen just through silence or fucking... I regard confident categorization of similar and true response, to call myself a composite on the right side of the seams, of whose identity may yield spurious, a specified emotional valence. A series of photographs depicting human individuals in social situations. I don't think the answer isn't a collective of all non-heterosis male, except for a bit. More transformation in comparison, while the face unattractive if you wish to a lack of happy mass suicide. After all, there I am, wary of males, fucking less, fluctuating. Sex is a false positive. The salmon was asked to determine which emotion the individual in the photo must have been experiencing. Picture 3. Progressive change occurring throughout life. Associations between different kinds of sexual expression have been suggested to us as love, porn, passion, anger, food, animals, whatever, is imaginable through arduous labour of ownership. The salmon was shown a time, not due to the better genes, leading to own up to the act of cultural capital, have claim on, and fill, it seems, a philosophical register, just the category, but in judgments of the spirit and identity. When the men let their own sexual, cultural, economic power interrogate it as painfully and children will decrease their eyes widely as having some, and then accept we conceive in parallel available. Across the heterosis subject can bear, the interest value of subjects you never had, sex goes silent over the theory that facial symmetry plays a woman or indeed love the other. Life is an ineffective control. This most aesthetic appeal is that random noise in the extreme dimensionality. I am wary of cultural capital, having been among the salmon. Shown me bubble with these data sets, but perhaps those eyes negate its substance. I'm sure that sex has a smoother texture. The most conspicuous directional asymmetries are all broken by different notions of love, enjoyment, identification, the work of movement on sex for some worth. Try to examine the suspicion with a lover, strip bare of happy mass, somehow make it possible, honest sign of loving. Standard practice and judgments and effects of sexual expression are all broken by different kinds of fucking in the stars. There I am here, you are that, I too have been. The salmon was not alive at the time, not able to be a privilege to determine what we are. My whole self would be different in perpetual sun. Locked off from love, locked off from love, locked off from love. Local church leader and community activist, call him on the kill list sleeping, under a burning olive, to be or not consumed for capital fire. It's fantastic that there's a world, warming to say spirit or soul. While we live, what happens in our words, hasn't happened any, why not, eh? As in, souls extinguished, for example. Imagine 300 souls extinguished in the many, and I am the conflicted soul of a gunboat. Its heart, the amorous swivel of its shaft. If I heartily prove I exist, I certainly don't believe in you, or buildings, or systems. A million honourable fleshly members. That's, I think, why people cohabit. To be kind to at least one real thing, my mercenary. Can I afford to recover on my paycheck? There'll be something big that weekend, for sure, if I'm me, what's not? No, really. A flood comes knocking and I'm like, mass migration sounds off the chain, but I haven't left the house in days. It's mine, I'm a domestic terrorist in bed, but at least I've got one. Leave off from love. Is there such a thing as a coherent policy statement? We built that, we can build it down. You wait, watch us jump, are you watching? Think of them as worms, you keep your filthy wormery. Luxury flats without borders. Contemporary damages and the crack de chevalier. Start a fight just to get the blood flowing, affirmatively, pronounced the minister. It's this thing she does with her tongue, gives me my sensations. Boys will be ashamed if you think about it. My mind's materialised. Can you loose the life from my body if you reach CNTFIA, YPG, ZACF? Persons under extraordinary conditions will another golden age of piracy be rising scarcity on lawless seas. 10,000 dead communards a day dream at the desk of crystal towers, a rocket-propelled way out of here, a faster and hotter the better. Blast off from love. A brace, as of pheasants, hung. Train upholstery, artist, kebab, photos, spirit, realised through labour, over and lack of. No thing for no one now, for your self-abasement isn't anyone due any. Way out in the heartwood, solid, opaque, semi-permanent, still life if left long enough. Keep safe, okay mate? Back to the book for a moment. What do you every day? Think on that. No, every day rises against thought. I guess what I mean is lunch breaks. No, but seriously, are you okay? I guess what I mean is routine, exhaustion, refusal. Did you steal any entrees from the reception? Imagine what a child imagines when you say work to them. What every day do you? Have you eaten, because I know this great place, but I don't think you've got the right shoes. Identification, my body, I'm sorry, is not an experience of violence, and that violence enacted from upon I'm my, sorry, me. Identify my small body is not my birthday, I'm so real and so many. Right now is the best I've felt in weeks. What do you too? Formal product of work, your worth day emerges from who said, I write these stupid words and I love everyone. So I said sincerely, as in we sincerely apologise, computer-generated, dummy, performative, I would be honoured to officiate your nightmare. Thought about radical self-care. It's only a form. Our house is a very fine house. In the garage I feel safe. Of survival. Came from an emotional place for the first. Written on lunch breaks. Is that noble? Is there nobility in that love, kind owner? Remember that dream when the world was lovely? Oh, permissible dream. Okay, so that's the part of this that I'm going to do on my own. The second half is a long poem that my friend Bryony, we wrote it together, so she's going to come up and we're going to read that together. It's a bit longer than those ones, but I'm sure you'll be alright. Straight in, ready to go?
Yeah.
Cash Sex, a verse essay for voices. Alto, contralto. Scene, a drunken argument in which
one suggests that they like the concept of quarter-life crisis because it seems to speak of the constant personal revolution adulthood is.
Crisis being flux and possibility, destruction and uncertainty being good. This is liberating.
Whilst also reminding us that the primary material of wage labour is panic.
And an unreluctant admittance of adulthood is an acknowledgement that there's no longer any excuse for consistent failure, and basic functionality can't be praised as precocious, just fucking get on with it.
Another points out that
the whole concept relies on the tiresome premise that your degree entitles you to self-actualizing life activity.
Or at least a mid-level administrative salary, which it doesn't.
And that your shit life is a temporary crisis, and you don't care that.
Statistically speaking, life is shit.
Argument.
A throbbing, bleeding gateway.
Self-castigation, I suppose. By the time I got to writing, I'd dissolved. The boundaries of the actual real. A bunch of adoptable positions. It's just the kind of adjective someone might use.
The more I look at it, the more I get an image. Dead metaphors mostly, but a revolution at the heart of the gateway.
And what nonsense that is, as in codified periodic transitions, each with their own essential meaning.
If we want to be grandiose, totally destabilising, such preset paths, good job, good life, good family, salary, mortgage, don't make so much sense when you're acutely anxious. I'm not.
I was thinking precisely of the absurdity. What comes out when, thrown together, an image for being on the threshold of the centre, or coming to the central essence of a threshold.
Something small and glowing floating in the air in front of a big iron gate, spinning furiously. And then hearts, flesh ones exploding into cartoon, anime, glittery, heart-shaped hearts.
A clause nested here. Being flux, possibility, destruction and uncertainty, leaves the dubious claim, being good, this is liberating. Well, obviously that's a good line, everyone said so.
There's an attempt here to name a symptom. Just because I'm shit scared of the need to make money all my life and everyone else is too, doesn't mean I want to go speaking for people.
And maybe a pulsing, wrought iron like a factory's, or pearly at the time. I certainly hadn't thought glittery or glowing, but that's the difference between you and me.
Men, with a special emotional faculty can give expression to common feeling. That's recognition, right? So what does this account of, as of a common experience, do with people who find making money unproblematic? People who find unproblematic in practice, people with the opportunities to get rich and no moral compunction, we mostly know what we do with them.
The stance of a leftist, semi-privileged, semi-slacker, working hard is fine. The constant panic of people who aren't so like us. About the amount of emotional, mental and physical energy taken up with bank balances, which is actually most people. Yeah, that's another thing that gets on my kids.
People in their 20s that pretend baby as miserable as any with their first girl boyfriend would. People could choose to have a more sensible attitude if they tried, and people died in wars.
About the complaints of privileged people, it's their whining rather than their shutting up. This conflict between diagnostic power, which shits on the people who think they've earned a right.
That sounds insensitive. They just want to flaunt their apparent uselessness. It's like clever girls who pretend to be stupid to get boys.
What happens when the rich kids do actually have to live? They call it a crisis, and it probably will ultimately be in a flat above a shop.
It's easy to think that as long as you have the comfort, it's temporary, the security, that not this precise argument, but the shitty idea, or something different again, the development of that.
I hadn't thought of the collision in those terms, though of course you're right. We can enjoy a fetishizing of poverty conditions as a freedom from monetary shackles. Don't anticipate struggling to survive.
I couldn't stand by my initial position, but didn't want to compromise it. A synthesized position seemed a part of my problem is that life is great.
Well, of course you're not existentially exhausted by your job, just some separate place where you hide away. Identification as revealing
people's felt different. Hopefully it will be a refinement, looking for a good job, a decent job. That poverty isn't you. Don't play that game.
As in, your worth is in, and the way in which you make... I mean, yes, capitalism splits, which is the history of you down the middle, but I think both.
My attitude to all of this has changed. I don't have to put on a face or a voice. I'm not leaving myself behind.
Work that resonates, thinking and solving. You're doing something actively harmful and troubling, but you see what I mean.
Also, there is no world. I was falling into conservative ways of talking, and I didn't want to.
There is no world in which you won't have to spend a lot of time doing stuff you really don't want to.
We've talked about intersecting strands in the self, the soul product.
The self is a resistive and necessary mechanism. Morally virtuous profit generation. To survive is a compromise. People can feel invested.
Many things we don't want. The continuing life of the community. I feel good when I spend all day cleaning the house.
Not being shady, but stop your striving for the things you feel. I could spend my time, I can do everything I want with the money I have.
I was feeling particularly beatific when I wrote that. I'm thinking about adjusting perspective. This is the best we can do. You're not just concerned with, not saying that being sad is selfish. Someone chimes in with, yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
That's trite, but also, yeah, status anxiety, etc. We're fucked. A lot of the worries you've articulated seem to me to be masculine worries. The worries you have, I've mostly come across in men. Women don't tend to be as bothered by it. We raise boys are the heroes of their own story, and everyone else's. Girls, they will find fulfillment in someone else.
Growing up female, you will have to sublimate yourself and your personality for the sake of others. The thoughts or the process of dissociating from themselves. We have to do it all the time anyway.
Internalise the necessity of doing things you don't want to do much sooner than boys. I hadn't thought of that, and obviously you're right.
Simone is very good on that. Accepting I've been incorrectly universalising my own experience and should stop it. The masculine, self-centred fear. My concern is that not being bothered by it seems, or the self-effacing feminine stoicism, not a fortitude. An individualist, self-centred male hero, simply the fact of being inured and a self-effacing, subjugated female supporting role. Clear analogues, the company exec and both no good, the people as opposed to either thing in hard form.
We are subsumed but not subjugated to the collective. We should legalise prostitution and ban pornography. Dehumanisation on a massive scale. How could they ever respect me if that's what they get off on? What the need to make money leads to.
I could certainly get on board with that as an idea. The physical, structural, aesthetic aspects of beauty and arousal. I don't know how to live through the conclusions I've come to. The voyeuristic aspect of interaction. What one might do is look at people, reduce them to a fairly limited set of shapes without much in the way of psychic interiority, and let that stand as somehow innately and naturally appealing.
Imagining oneself, from a male perspective, obviously, in the place of the bloke doing the fucking. Again, very hackneyed summary.
Split their workers extremely from their body, as a sexual thing, reducing them to it. Unless there is something qualitatively different, looking at people have sex for money, I'm trying to think of how to move forwards with this.
Thanks, that's it.